always want to make sure to call out the players and the staff and everybody behind the scenes that puts in the work with the programs. That always want to congratulate them on their effort. What's going on, Tar Heels? Jeff Blackwood with the Hill Brothers, bringing you another episode of the Tar Heel Olympic Spotlight. Take my glasses off so I can actually read stuff. I can't read up close when I'm wearing them. I need them to see far away because I can't see a darn thing if it's further than this. So, but up close, I can't tell you. I can't see them. I had to. You ought to see me try to read my phone with my glasses on. I'm like, I got to move it back here with the glasses on so I can actually see it. Anyway, y'all, hope everybody has had a good week. Lot going on. So we're going to jump right into it. I'm going to start on the highest note we have for this week. And then there's some disappointment that if you follow that you know about, but big disappointment. But I'm going to follow on the high note. And that actually came to us courtesy of women's tennis. Singles and doubles, NCAA singles and doubles championships took place Tuesday through today, Sunday, as I'm recording this, in Orlando. We had several competing as singles and two doubles teams. Singles teams, I think I went through it last week, but just as a refresher, singles, we had Reese Brantmeyer, Tatum Evans, Thea Radman, and Obi Kajuru. Doubles teams, we had the team of Reese and Alanis Hamilton and Obi and Susanna Maltby. So the singles have 64 teams. Just when you hear me talk about lost in round of 64, round of 32, whatever, keep in mind that for men's and women's tennis both, the singles go 64 deep, and the doubles championships have 32. So started out, Tatum and Thea lost in the round of 64. Obi lost in the round of 32 on the singles side. Then Obi and Susanna, actually on the doubles side, we had some doubles traveling. Obi and Susanna lost in the quarterfinals in doubles. Reese and Alanis lost in the quarterfinals in doubles. What that does, making it to the quarterfinals, earns you All-American honors. So those two teams got All-American honors. But the big one and the high note is Reese Brantmeyer as a number 9 to 16 seed. Today took down crap. I shouldn't have even said took down because I don't remember who she took down. Sorry. No, but Reese won the NCAA singles, women's tennis singles championship. So we've got a national champion in our midst at Carolina once again. The second woman to win the NCAA women's singles title, and the first being Jamie Loeb in 2015. So Reese has been a heck of a player. Injured last year, she had to pull out of a match towards the end of the season. She's had some knee issues and things like that. If you watch her play now, she wears a leg sleeve on one of her legs, but she's been solid and national champion. So not the national champion that we thought we were going to get when the week started and everything was going, but national champion nonetheless. So awesome, congrats to her. All the effort and all the hard work. Men's tennis was going as well, but I figured I would not wait real too long before I got into probably the biggest disappointment from at this time of year anyway, from an Olympic sports perspective, from a Carolina fan. Field hockey. We talked last week. Made it to the Final Four. Beat Duke, in fact, to do it, if you remember, in the quarters. Got to the Final Four. We're number 1 team in the country taking on the number 2 team in the country in Durham on Friday night, and that is Northwestern. And it just didn't go our way. Lost 4-3 in overtime. Blew a 3-1 lead. Disappointing. yeah, I mean, what else can you say about it? It's just nobody. I thought everybody, everybody expected us to pull that one out, and you know, it's just the way it goes sometimes. Northwestern, I've said before, Northwestern is one of those programs that they're always up there. They're always in the hunt. Actually, back-to-back national champions now. If you remember, we won the one before the last one they haven't won. We won in Coach Masson's first season as coach. And I also mentioned last week, give a shout out and a congratulations to Northwestern, specifically to Emily Kirshner, whose dad Steve is one of the associate ADs for sports information at Carolina. So, congrats to them. Congrats to her specifically because she has that Carolina tie. But that's a tough one. It's really a tough one. But there's no doubt. There's no doubt. You listen to the stuff that Coach said afterwards, and there's no doubt they'll be back. It's the best. I don't care what you say. Doesn't always go our way, but it's the best program in the country right now, as far as I'm concerned. Year over year, and like I said, Northwestern has a claim to that because they've last two, but we've got the GOAT player as our coach now, and she's done a good job the last she's done a really great job 3 years. So you really can't you can't really fault them. You can him and Hall and be mad or especially disappointed over blowing a 3-1 lead because you don't think that should happen, but again, quality opponent. Northwestern's every bit as good as we are year in and year out too. So in the season 21-2. So that closes the book on this season for field hockey, unfortunately, without a national championship, but they'll be back. And the recruiting class is coming in again, like I said last week. Got some folks coming in that are going to be strong. So we're just going to keep rolling. We'll get back. We'll be back. No problem. Another NCAA championship took place this weekend, and that's cross country. That took place yesterday in Columbia, Missouri. You remember we qualified via at-large bids. We finished just outside top 2 in the regionals that we needed, but got the got the at-large bids for both the men's and the women's cross country. The women finished 11th, strong showing. Actually, the 11th was the same place they finished last year. Powered by Vera Schoberg, who finished 8th individually, and that earns her. That's good enough to earn her All-American honors as well. So she's a Boston University transfer. This is her first year of the program, and she's made a difference. She's consistently been the top for us in cross country, and looking forward to seeing how it rolls with indoor track and field and outdoor track and field and going forward with distance stuff. I tweeted the other day, excuse me, I've got a cold now. All of a sudden it came on after I started feeling it after we did the live show, the Tar Heel Live earlier today. But my wife's been sick and now she's better, so I think she's passing on to me. So I said something about it on Twitter yesterday, I think, after I saw it, because I was following the results from the tailgate for Duke football. The men, disappointing 28th finish. I don't know what to say. 42nd, Colton Sands was the top individual effort. I don't know if something freaky happened. I don't know. That's just I realize we don't have Parker Wolf and Ethan Strand anymore like we did the last few years, and both of them got Patterson medals awarded to them because they're both multi-time national champions in cross country and track and field distance, national ACC champs. Just so, but still, we had been better this year we'd been better this year in competition than that showing. So, it's a disappointing showing. Nonetheless, and as with field hockey, I didn't say it, as field hockey as the seasons are ended, always want to make sure to call out the players and the staff and everybody behind the scenes that puts in the work with the programs. That I always want to congratulate them on their effort and the hard work they put in during the season, behind the scenes and things like that. And always proud of them. They're Tar Heels. They give their all for the school, and sometimes that's all we can ask. That's all we can ask. And they do that, and I'm going to be proud of them every time, no matter what. So, moving on, women's soccer is in the NCAA tournament right now in competition. Friday night, second round of comp, we took on the 6 seed Texas Tech in Fort Worth, and there's going to be a theme with soccer that you're going to go with the next little bit as I'm talking about soccer, but and that is the finishes. Regulation wasn't enough, overtimes weren't enough. That went to penalty kicks. Regulation goal, we did get one regulation goal. It was 1-1 after regulation. That goal was by Linda Omark. But we went to penalty kicks and took down the Red Raiders 4-3 in penalty kicks. So moves us on to the third round for men's soccer, and it gets tougher because get past the 6 seed Texas Tech. First round, if you remember, we beat the 3 seed Tennessee at their place. But now tomorrow, in fact, at 2 p.m., I believe, third round NCAA women's soccer championship action, taking on the number 2 TCU Horned Frogs in Fort Worth. So at their place, essentially. So gonna be a tough one, but this team, like I said, the season wasn't what we expected, and it was a tough one with the rankings and everything like that. But not falling out of the rankings for the first time ever and all that stuff. But like I said, I've said it before. Every time I talk about the team, we've had injuries, and we've had folks playing for the U17 teams and stuff like that, and they're back. So we're starting to see a little bit of winning going on here, and coming off a national championship last year. We'll see what we can do. Still in the game, still in the fight, still in the tournament, still a shot. So they're going to go out there, give it their all. Like I said, that's tomorrow afternoon against number 2 TCU in the third round. So see what happens. Men's soccer was also competing in the NCAA tournament. Thursday night, we played at home. We played in Dorrance Field. First round action against North Florida. Overtime, regulation. Excuse me. Coughing again. Regulation and overtime weren't enough on that one either. So that one went to penalty kicks as well. We actually 2 regulation goals in that one. Those scored by I believe it was a beautiful bicycle kick, if I remember the highlight right, by Jack Sandmeyer and Dan Klink. Scored the 2 goals in regulation. Actually, North Florida had a last-second goal, and it's like 4 seconds left, I think, if I remember it right. It was right at the end, and it was actually scored to tie it and force overtime by a UNC transfer. Played in Carolina his true freshman season, sophomore now, I believe, but Luke Granitor got that goal. So it was a UNC transfer that sent us to overtime. Like I said, again, the overtimes weren't enough. Went to penalty kicks on that one and got the victory. Got the victory over North Florida 6-5 on PKs. So sends us into the second round of that tournament, of the NCAA men's soccer tournament. Had to take on number 4 seed Maryland up at their house, College Park. That was this afternoon. Regulation and overtime wasn't enough on that one either. And but this time we lost 4-3 penalty kick on PKs. So that ends the season for men's soccer 9-5-6. So and I've talked about it before. A lot of our draws, a lot of those draws were against top ranked teams. So again, I thought it was a little bit disappointing season on that. I expected more in the season coming into it, but again, it's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Regroup, get ready for next year. See what we do. But again, always proud of them. Always proud of the effort. That's all you can ask, man. Even if it doesn't go your way, sometimes that's all you can ask. Put the effort out there, and thank you for all of them for doing all they did in the season. Men's tennis, like as with the women's tennis that I kicked it off with, men's tennis also participated in the singles and doubles championships this week. It was held Tuesday through Sunday in Orlando, same as the women's. We didn't fare as well on that side. Didn't fare as well on that side. We had representation. We did have representation there from a single standpoint. We had 3 competing. That was Ian Mayu, Niels Rachu, and Rowan Jones. Doubles. We had 2 doubles teams, Niels and Chris Hugh, and then the doubles team of Ian Mayu and Case Schinnerer. On the double side, Ian and Niels, on the single side, Ian and Niels both lost in the round of 64, which is the first round. Rowan got to the second, but ultimately lost in the round of 32 on the singles end. Chris and Niels lost first round on the double side, which was the round of 32. Ian and Case lost in the round of 16, so second round. So they got one win under their belt in that one. But that closes the book again on that season, or at least the fall season for men's tennis. Now we'll get into, once we get into the spring, we'll get into the dual meets, and then the ACC tournament and all that stuff. We'll get in on that and see how that plays out. But again, there's some promise there. There's some promise there. Just need to. Just need to keep at it. So, wrestling, I'm making sure I didn't miss anything. Yep. Got a few left here. I held off kind of towards the end, towards my favorites. If you wish, listen to me talk before, wrestling and volleyball right now as it comes, or things that are going are my 2 favorite anyway. Wrestling Friday. Keep in mind, wrestling ranked number 21 in the country right now in the in the coaches poll. Had a quad meet in Chapel Hill on Friday in Carmichael, the Carolina Duels, which consisted of UNC Pembroke, Greensboro College, and Davidson. So we wound up, as the host, we wrestled all 3. I don't think Davidson wrestled, but 2 of them actually, I think. I can't remember right. But we wrestled all 3. Swept it, by the way. UNC Pembroke beat them, got the win over them 49-0. Greensboro College got the win over them 57-0. And Davidson, got the win over the Wildcats 47-0. 3 shutouts. It might be the longest. I think I saw a graphic I saw a stat that it's our longest streak of shutouts. Granted, it's not great competition. We do start the season now, though. That gives us a 5-0 start to the season, which is our best start since 05-06. Again, you got to realize that the competition is not. The competition hasn't been heavy. Navy was a tough one. Navy was 20-18 last Saturday or Friday. Saturday. I told y'all earlier, my week's been crazy. Navy was the toughest one, and they had a few ranked wrestlers. We had one of our guys get upset in that one that was a higher ranked guy, but Navy was a tough one, and it was our toughest opponent, and it was a tight match. Like I said, we split at 5-5 of the weight classes. We just outpointed them on bonus point victories. So it's going to get tougher, and like I said, I've told you the ACC is really strong in wrestling. There's really Duke lately has been a kind of an easier one, but anything can happen. So the competition is going to get tougher, like I said, and that the next up for us on that, we got a little bit of a break. Next up for us is December 12th. That's a Friday, 7 p.m. in Carmichael against the number 20 ranked West Virginia Mountaineers. So like I said, it will get tougher. what I didn't say, and I meant to say this, I'm sorry. If you notice by the scores on the wrestling, it was at 57, 47, no, 49, 57, and 47. That was the note I wrote down to myself was pin and tech fall fest, because there were pins and tech falls everywhere, just all over the place. You know, I like to give the guys a shout out on wrestling, especially for their individual work. So, starting out with Pembroke, we had a pin or a fall at 125 by Tyson Tirakina. Had another fall at 141 by Luke Simcox. Another fall at 157 by Joey Showalter. Tech fall at 147 by Sabino Portella. Tech fall at 197 by Mikey Calcagno. And a pin or a fall at heavyweight 285 by Jacob Levy. It's, like I said, it was just a lot. And you could tell the competition. You could just tell that the level of competition is not there. But they did what you wanted to see them do. And that's the thing. They didn't mess around with them. They didn't play with their food, so to speak, too much. There were a few little places in there, I think, in some of the matches along the way. We might have done that a little bit. But by and large, they went out there. They were aggressive, and they did what they should have done. And that's what you want to see at this point. Also, it gave us a chance to see some of the depth that we have a little bit. Out of those guys I read, most of those guys, let me see, Kyson at 125, Luke at 141. Those are the only starters. Those are the only starters, and those are the only normal starters right now that wrestled in that first match. The second match was a lot of the same. It was against Greensboro College. That was, like I said, 57-0. And again, just kind of calling out some of the everything was a fall or a tech fall on this one. Oh wow, I forgot that. Include it was a forfeit. We had a 125. Tyson Turakina won by forfeit. 133 was a tech fall for Marco Tassi. 141 was a pin or fall for Luke Simcox. 149 fall for Nick O'Neill. 157 fall for Joey Showalter. Of note, Nick O'Neill's fall at 149, 15 seconds. It was, I looked at the guy beside me. I was like, crap, wow. I mean, it was fast. Charlie Derricott, 165, had a tech fall. 174, Cade Tennell, tech fall. 184, Aiden Slett, fall. 197, Mikey Calcagno, fall. And 285, Jacob Levy, fall. So, yeah, that was all. We were all big-time bonus points on that one, hence the 57-0 score. And again, and Jacob's fall was in 25 seconds. And if you watch the video, you got to go back, find social media, find UNC Wrestling, and look back to that Friday night. It was, I think UNC Wrestling actually did, or it might not be UNC Wrestling. It might have been Coach Tony, that actually did I think he quote tweeted with the rock bottom, because that's pretty much what Jacob did to that dude. He picked him up, rock bottom, slammed him, and it was over 25 seconds. It was fun to watch. Then 47-0 Davison again. Again, a decent number of falls or tech falls in that one. Ethan Oakley, it's and again, all the guys I read on the previous one, the only two guys on that one that are normal, that are projected really normal starters are Kyson at 125 and Luke at 141. Davison, we got a little bit more going in there with the guys as far as some of the starting typical lineup guys. Kyson wrestled, but that was a decision. Ethan Oakley at 133 picked up a fall, got the pin. Luke Simcox at 141 got a pin. And did that mean, yeah, Luke had three pins. All three of Luke's matches were by pinfall or by fall victory. That's awesome. Awesome. 157 Laird Root picked up the forfeit. And I wish I could have seen him wrestle, even if it's Davison. I like watching him wrestle. I think he's gonna be something. I think Laird Root is really somebody to watch for us wrestling. going forward. 165. Bryce. I'm sorry, that was a major decision. Not either one of those. That was Bryce Hepner, though. He's another guy that's in the normal lineup. Has been in the normal lineup so far to start the season. Transfer from Ohio State, first year here. So that's 4 guys in the starting lineup that were more towards Davison, which Davison obliterated Greensboro too. I mean, I think Greensboro might have won 1 match or 2 matches out of it, but they still majorly dismantled them. Jake Daly at 184, tech fall against Davison. Jake at 184 is another guy going forward that I think is, if you like wrestling and are listening to this, that's another name to kind of keep an eye out for, keep an ear for, and what Jake's going to do. I think he's got a really, really bright future here. 197, Robert Platt had a tech fall victory. Robert's another guy that's looks right now to be a normal starter. He's ranked number 30 in the country at 197. And Jacob, again, at 285 had a fall. And Jacob looks like he's probably going to be the guy right now at 285. Based on Nolan. Nolan needs his match against Navy. Very, very early in the match, did something to his ankle, I think, Coach Cole said. And looks like he's going to be sitting out for a little bit right now. So I would expect Jacob to be the one, probably, it looks like anyway, that's gonna be in that spot. And he's a freshman, but he's been impressive to me so far. If you remember, a couple weeks ago, maybe last week before, he won the Pembroke Open. So again, got some promise there. That's a lot of wrestling. I'm not done yet. Today we actually sent some folks up to Boone, to App State, to participate in the Mountaineer Open, and we had some champions come out of that one. We actually did have some champions come out of there. I had the notes written down, and then I just lost them. Now I found them. Again, live television. Well, recording live. I'm not going to cut this. I don't need to edit out the errors unless it's something gross. Because I think it's normal. I think we sent 19. We had 4 bring home championships or titles from the Mountaineer Open. Again, some of these guys are guys that are not starter guys, but they're guys that we've seen perform in opens last year for the folks that have been here, and even this year coming in and stepping in some of these duels like we had Friday, when we're kind of just giving some rest to some of the main guys or the starting lineup type guys. Matthew Botello won the championship at 133, and he beat Troy Homan from NC State to do it, which is always cool. Nick O'Neill won the title of championship at 141. Charlie Derricott at 165, and Marcus Morabito at 174. So we had 4 out of the ones that we sent got championships today up in Boone. We got a second place finish from Jacob. Jacob Levy at 285. Third place finishes at 174 from Cade Tenold, 181 Colin Kerrigan, and 197 Mikey Calcagno. And fourth place finishes at 133 from Marco Tassi, 157 Joey Showalter, 174 Sabino Portello, and 184 Carson Tenold. Cade and Carson, brothers. So again, good showings there. Those tournaments and things like that in the wrestling world, they're really key. They get the guys work that might not necessarily wrestle in a normal duel, get them the work and kind of just keep honing their skills, so that if you need somebody to step in because of an injury or something like that, it's a next man up mentality, and these guys have been working. And Coach Cole and Tony and Ben and work them hard in the wrestling room, in the practice room. So they're getting them ready. But these opens that I'll talk about from time to time, where we send folks to places and you get guys that you don't necessarily hear sometimes for wrestling in the starting lineups, doing really good work. And that's kind of the keep them ready type of thing. So good work there. Like I said, got a little bit off until we take on West Virginia in December at home. And again, number 20 West Virginia. It's going to be a tough one. Volleyball this week was a disappointing week. Disappointing week. Came in the week number 15 in the polls, still held there. We're in our Florida swing. We're in our Florida swing this weekend, Friday night and this afternoon. Friday night took on a just a not good Florida State squad and lost 3-1. I think Florida State is. I mean, they're just not good. I mean, they're below 500. And our first set was a good set. So it was close, but we did what we needed to do. From the second set on, we shot ourselves in the foot consistently. Just a lot of unforced errors. I didn't even want to look up the hit percentage because I figured it would depress me. So I didn't even look up the hit percentage for that. There was just a lot of unforced errors. We did it to ourselves. It's going to happen from time to time. We've played such tough competition that, I mean, you hate to see it because you really don't want to lose the ones that you shouldn't. And, and we've lost a few. I mean, this is the third this year we've lost to teams that we really should have beat that are not ranked. And there's really no excuse to losing for them other than it's a sport. And, sometimes it just doesn't break and the other team's playing well and you're not. And that's what's happened in our losses to the unranked teams this year. But especially Florida State on Friday night. Today, and then keep in mind, like I said, at this time going into the week when the polls come out, coaches' polls for volleyball come out on Mondays. We were ranked 15 this past week. Took on number 14 Miami down in Coral Gables today and got swept 3-0. Again, I think we played. I didn't get to watch it today. I was at the hospital with my dad, so I did not get to watch it today. Well, part of it. I was live doing Tar Heel or doing Sunday Tar Heel with Nathan, so I didn't get to actually watch it. I just had the stat broadcast up on my computer, by the monitor while we were going. We were better, but we were better as far as those unforced errors, but still, didn't get it done. And Miami again, number 14 in the country. You hate to get swept. That's the one thing I don't like. I don't care who you're playing. I don't care if you're playing number one team in the country. And especially if you're Carolina and you're ranked and you've got talent, the sweep is the kind of thing that bothers me the most. That's the shutout. But again, it's done. Use it, learn from it, get better. Coach Shaw and the staff, you better believe we're going to do that. They're one of the best coaching staffs. Coach Shaw is one of the best college coaches in any sport for my money. I really, really like the work he does with them. And I've seen him at camps with high school athletes and what he does with them. And it's, that's why I have such faith in that guy. So that moves us to 20-7 on the season. 20 wins, 7 losses, 13-5 in the ACC, puts us at 6th in the ACC. We were picked to finish 5th coming into the season. If you look at the ACC standings, everybody that's above us, 1 through 5, all ranked above us in the polls, and we're 15. So you got 5 teams above us. You got that shows. I've told you. I've talked about it. The ACC and volleyball, especially with the addition of Stanford and SMU, because they are 2 of the teams that are up there, and we knocked off Stanford this year. I mean, we upset Stanford this year when they were ranked in the top 10. SMU at our place when they were ranked in the top 10. Early in the season, it doesn't mean as much now because Florida's fallen off pretty good, but we swept Florida when they were early in the season when they came in ranked number 11. Argument made there for preseason rankings and early season rankings when you really haven't played competition don't mean a whole hill of beans. And I think Florida's bared that out because if I'm not mistaken, they haven't really had a good year either, or not what they were expecting. But again, you got to keep playing. No ACC tournament for volleyball. So, champion is the regular season champion. And then we look for, we look to see, we need to finish strong and look to see where we get in the NCAA tournament draw. because we've got 2 left in the season before we get to before we get tournament play. We go up to Charlottesville on Wednesday afternoon to take on the Cavaliers. They are not having a good year. They are 12-16, 5-13 in the ACC. That needs to be a get right. No two ways about it. Got to have a get right on that one. Got to shake off the junk that happened to us with Florida State, especially, and not let the sweep by a really good Miami team with one of the better players in the conference. Honestly, one of the best players in the conference on their squad. Not let that get to you. Got to shake it off and get to that. Then we come back, and that's, like I said, that's Wednesday afternoon up in Charlottesville. And then Saturday afternoon, I believe at 1:00 in Carmichael, senior day, and we're taking on Miami. So we get a chance to get revenge on them, get them back at our house, where we have played really well this year, and see what we can do. Miami's coming in after today, 24-5 overall, 14-3 in the conference. So got a chance, got a little bit of work to do, got a chance to get some practice, and get the ship back righted and get us pointed in the right direction. Really, really important, I think. Vital to beat Miami. And have a little bit of momentum going into whatever the draw may be for the NCAA. On the volleyball side of things. So, but again, if there's a staff that I have confidence in, it's Coach Shaw and Sean and Rachel and Carson and those folks. They do a great job. So I've got the utmost faith that they're going to get turned around and keep us going on the upward trajectory that we have been with volleyball in the last few years. We talked about it. The rankings, the 15th ranking, which is going to fall now, no doubt. Who knows what it's going to be. Rankings are crazy. We're going to drop it. But then again, there's something to be said for that's just rankings are just sometimes for ego or whatever. You really need to kind of throw that stuff out and just worry about what you can control, and that's just the play on the court. You can't help where somebody puts you in the rankings. So we'll see what goes on that one. I'm going to follow up with and actually end it with swimming. And swimming spent, I think, Tuesday to Friday this week in Columbia, South Carolina, at the Gamecock Invitational. Not a big Columbia, South Carolina fan, sorry. So I know some good Gamecocks. I know a couple good Gamecocks that I like to mess with, but yeah, I'm not a big South Carolina fan of the state itself. Sorry. Nathan and Alan, my bad. Y'all are good, but I just like to poke fun. There was a lot going on. That there's swimming, diving diving was not part of this deal. Didn't get the participation out of there. There's a lot in here, and there's a lot in here. But like I said, I always like to give them their due because it's one of those programs. It's one of those programs that we've had some success with, especially recently, where we've been up there and really performing really well. And the staff has done, Coach Gangloff and the staff has done a really good job. So I want to give them their time and their due. I'm going to read, and you're going to, you can tell I read some of the stuff anyway. I'm definitely going to read this stuff, and because it's, there's a lot to it. So, in the team competition, ultimately, the team score competition, ultimately, that's compiled from everything. The men wind up coming in first, and the men came in first in that team comp. I think second was actually Tampa University. The women came in second. South Carolina was first there. If you remember, South Carolina is a highly ranked program. The women lost to them in a dual swimming meet swimming and diving meet a couple weeks ago. But we've been ranked, and like I said, South Carolina, especially on the women's side right now, highly ranked program. So we had a host of like all-time scores for Carolina, which again, giving them their due and really shedding the light on the program. I think it's important to take the time and really point out what some of these folks are doing. We've got, and I'm gonna introduce I guess terminology for swimming and diving. What happens is you'll hear me talk about now, and maybe probably throughout the season as we go. You're going to hear me talk about NCAA standard times, and that's basically, it's a calculation. You have to go look it up on what they do and how the NCAA for swimming sets their times, their standard times, and what that means is times under that. Are what they consider qualifying for NCAA type times, where you need to be. So it's a good measuring stick. It doesn't automatically qualify you if I got the rule correct, and if I don't, you can comment, fact check me in the comments. If you notice the last couple of weeks, if I have made a mistake, and I knew I did because I finished up the show and I went to bed, or I was getting ready to go to bed, and I was like, oh, I messed that up. I know I did. I know I said that wrong. And so I'll go back and I'll put it in the comments that, hey, my bad. This is what it really was. Because I don't want to speak out of turn on folks and get things wrong. So, it's important to be correct as far as I'm concerned with this stuff, especially. So, but those NCAA standard times, what happens is, if those are your measuring stick times. So when you get to it, if you swim if it takes place in a conference finals event for conference finals race for whichever event you're talking about, that's the time that if you're under that time, even if you don't win the event in the conference, even if you're not the conference champion, if you swim under that time, you're an automatic NCAA qualifier. So as the season goes, that's a measuring stick. And there's also, they use provisional qualifiers for relays. The solo races used to have a standard and a provisional. They don't anymore. The relays do still have the standard and the provisionals. Again, a lot of stuff that some of you probably don't care about. But I'm trying to educate, put it out there. So we have folks in the women's 200 individual medley. Mary McCauley finished second, but her time was an NCAA standard time. So that's one of those things, you're going to look at that, and as the season goes forward, you're going to you should ideally expect Mary to be around and be around that stuff. It was a pretty big week for Lewis Dram of the men's squad. Lewis is one of those guys. Over the last few years, he's been All-American anyway, in multiple events. But he actually won the men's 200 individual medley and set it and did it at an NCAA standard pace. Women's 100 freestyle, Cameron Meskel won that for Carolina. Men's 100 freestyle, Sean Setzer actually won it, set a personal best time, and his time was top 10, was tied for top 10 all time in the men's 100 freestyle at Carolina. So definitely worthy of note. And you're going to see, I'm going to take the time to read through these, and there's going to be several in here that you're going to see are not only people's personal best times, but also in the top 10 all time at UNC in that particular event. There were several other people for Carolina in the men's 100 freestyle that had personal bests. Women's 200 butterfly, Taylor Bloom came in second, but her time was also an NCAA standard time, and it was the number 9 time all time at a UNC in the 200 butterfly for women. Women's 200 backstroke, Emma Karam second, but her time was an NCAA standard time. Men's 200 backstroke, JT Schmidt won that event and also had a NCAA standard time. And I believe his time was top 10 in UNC as well, because number 3 in that event in the men's 200 backstroke for us was David Melnichuk, and his time was a number 9 all time at UNC time. So I don't have the number on JT, but if David's is number 3 at a 142.79 and David's is, and JT's won it at a 141.42, he's got to be better than 9th all time at UNC now in the 200 backstroke. So, again, good stuff there. Men's 400 freestyle relay won the event with an NCAA provisional time. And that was just the Friday action, y'all. That was just the Friday action. I take that back. That was just the Friday action. I'm looking through here. Women's 200 backstroke, Emma Karam, second in that event, but also had an NCAA standard time. Men's 200 backstroke. Am I reading that out of see, I'm reading that out of turn. Yeah, I think that was the prelim times. Sorry. There's finals and prelims. There's finals and prelims. I'm out of time on that one. Women's 200 freestyle in the finals. Carolina came in first in that one. First in the men's 200 freestyle relay. 100 backstroke, Sophia Fry. Women's 100 backstroke, Sophia Fry. NCAA standard time, won the event at this Gamecock invite. Also set a number 8 all-time time at UNC for the event. And Emma Karam, third in the event, swam the NCAA standard time under the NCAA standard time as well. So there's a ton of them. Oh my gosh, there's a ton of them. Y'all are probably tired of me reading this stuff. Men's 200 backstroke, Ben Delmar, another guy that from last year especially has been an All-American in a few different events, if I'm not mistaken. He set the school record in the men's 200 backstroke at this event. So set the UNC record, also a standard, also an NCAA standard time. Josh Parent, men 500 freestyle, number 10 all-time UNC time for that. So those are the noteworthy ones. I'm gonna make sure I didn't miss any all-time. We had more NCAA standards, but I'm not gonna keep on with that. But as far as the UNC all-time times, I think those are important because that really, that means something. They might not have won the event, but that's the top. It's a top time at Carolina in the event ever. Mary McCauley, women's 400 individual medley, top 5 all-time time for UNC in UNC history. Men's 200 freestyle, David Quaresma, number 3 all-time time at UNC in the event. What he did. Women's 200 freestyle, Marin Kanzi, number 10 all-time, set the number 10 all-time time for UNC. Josh Parent, men's 400 individual medley, set the number 9 all-time time at UNC. Jeez, man, they're just everywhere, man. Yeah, so check that out. You can also you can get the more detailed information if you ever want to look at stuff. Some of the Goat Hills articles will break down some of the stuff. Those are the highlights, I think, of all that stuff, and I'm not going to go on any further with reading stuff because I think I probably went on a little too far with it. So that's something I'll work on going forward. But anyway, I think it's important to call that stuff out. Like I said, men's first, women's second in the event. If I'm not mistaken, I think we've got a break now on that one. I think we've got a break for a little bit, and that holds true with some of the other stuff. We've got some sports that you see where they kind of cross seasons a little bit, like tennis. Excuse me. Men's and women's tennis is one of those sports that now, they played these couple fall like invitationals and ITAs and the NCAA stuff, but then they're going to roll into the spring and start with the dual meets, ACC, and some of the other stuff, like some of the other teams will play, just kind of team on team and not a tournament setting or invitational setting. Swimming is kind of the same way, if I'm not mistaken. If you'll indulge me for a moment, I will pull the schedule up so I don't have to correct myself later. A good host will look this up ahead of time. Actually, we got a little bit of a break. USA Diving Nationals take place middle of December. So I haven't seen what it is. I haven't seen what our participation on that one's going to be, but I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure we're going to have our divers competing there. then kickoff in January, we've got the FIU diving invite. So that's going to be one of those invitational deals with, it's a teams from multiple schools all competing in the various diving events. Really get a chance to get the divers going. Again, diving is something, especially on the women's side, we've been really strong with the last couple of years. But that's with Aranza carrying us on her back. But the talent is also there. The talent is also there with some of the other folks coming in, like an Ellie Joyce and Eleni Gutch, and the talent's there. Interesting note: Ellie Joyce is one of the divers on the team. She actually is an alum from my high school in Arlington, Virginia, Washington Liberty High School. So I thought that was I've always, when she announced, I thought that was a really cool thing that you don't get many people. You don't get many Carolina athletes from there. She might be other than 1980s football player Brian Blados, who was an offensive lineman at Carolina back in the day. He was also an alum from Washington Liberty, which at the time was Washington Lee High School, which is where I graduated high school from. Like I said, I am from Durham, but my dad was in the military, so I spent 3 years of high school at the Pentagon, and so that's why I lived up there and went there for that. But so it's just always one of those cool little facts that I can throw in. I think that's all I got for you this week. I think that wraps everything up. Like I said, we've got some stuff going on this week. Of course, Thanksgiving week. If you're out traveling and doing any of that stuff, safe travels, enjoy the time with family. I think that's it. But before I go, I want to remind y'all, because it's getting down to the end of it, and I think it's the last time I'm going to have to talk about it before the drawing is done, of our giveaway with K-Bar Soap. So I want to remind y'all of that. And I'm waiting for my graphic. There we go. I got it. Yes. Now, be sure, seriously, y'all, be sure, get in on the K-Bar Soap Christmas giveaway. Step one, go to Instagram, like the post at the Hill Brothers account. Follow K-Bar Soap on Instagram. The winner's going to be picked live on December 1st. And you're looking at what you get. You get the little boomer patch, the grenade. That's the cool. I love that little thing. It's like a little, I can just see a little animated character. I think we ought to do that. A little animated character dancing around. Anyway, I'm getting loony now, y'all. 2 bars of the soap. You pick the scents on that. The koozie, the tactical stocking, and I'm pointing at my screen like y'all can see it. Well, actually, you can't see me pointing. You just can't see. Well, actually, you can't. The graphics in the way. But you can't see what I'm pointing to on the graphic for the thing. Just imagine I'm pointing at each of the items for you. And then in the middle is the cedar American flag soap dish. So very cool stuff. Please be sure, go check that out. Go do that. Get registered to win. Can't win if you don't join, if you don't enter it. Also, don't forget, when the K-Bar site, go shop, you look at that stuff, check that stuff out. Christmas gifts, stocking stuffers, cool stuff like that. Who knows? Use the discount code. Use the discount code we have there. And do I have another graphic on that? Dang it. There we go. See. But yeah, again, there's also something you can do if you're looking for last minute Christmas gifts, stocking stuffers. Like I said, be sure you use the promo code HV15 for 15% off your order. Like it says, ditch the bar, grab a grenade. But they got more than just the soaps. So check that stuff out. Good people. And y'all, that's it. Again, awesome week, please. Y'all have a great one. Please be sure, be safe if you're traveling. Enjoy the time with your family if you have it. And see you back with the goings on next week after another week of Tar Heel Olympic sports. And as always, go Heels.